Yeah, so that's sort of like the outlier, but it's still a great movie. I mean, I think Ben Affleck is a great director.
Yes.
I mean, you know, when Live by Night is your least is like the film in your filmography that is like the least, I think you have a pretty good filmography, you know? And it's such a tragedy that he's not going to direct the Batman movie, you know, because like watching The Town, you can see what his Batman movie would be like, you know, and like how he's great at action and great with character dynamics and how he really gets involved and how he like involves, I think in both Gone Baby Gone and The Town, he gets real people who live in Boston to act in those movies, and he's great at getting performances out of all of his actors. He's a great actors director. He got great performances out of Blake Lively, who up until then I thought was kind of wooden in most of her roles, and I still think that this is probably her best role. I still think, and he gets, you know, Academy Award nominated performances out of people like Jeremy Renner, you know, and he gets good performances out of Chris Cooper and John Hamm, and he directs John Hamm in a way where he's not just, you know, playing Don Draper from Mad Men. He's a totally different character.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What would you rate this on a scale from 1 to 10?
I give this about an 8.5, maybe a 9. I think it's a really great cop movie, a great bank heist movie. It's got everything that you want. It's got great characters. It's got great action. It's got great dialogue. There's some really great bits of dialogue in there. Yeah, I think that this is, like I said, this is probably my favorite of his films.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No, not really.
No? Well, I have what we call swan facts, which are just random tidbits from the film. If you want to jump into that?
Sure.
Swan facts. So Jeremy Renner worked with several convicts from Charlestown to help him nail the character and his accent. This was shipped to theaters under the alias name Criminal Intent.
Wow.
Affleck originally wanted Mark Wahlberg for the role of James, but he was busy with The Fighter at the time.
Which is also a great movie.
Yeah, that's definitely a great movie. But I could see
why he would want Mark Wahlberg
because he's a native.
Yeah, but I don't think he would fit. I think it would be a little bit too distracting. I think.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner's more of a, not that he's unknown, but at that time I feel like he was. Yeah, he was, he's coming off a Hurt Locker.
Yeah, which not a lot of people seen, and he blends in well with it. I think if you had Mark Wahlberg, it'd be the case of like who's the leader in this, outfit, because Mark Wahlberg usually leads in all these films and stuff like that. So I think it would have been a really weird. I think it would have took me out of the movie if Mark would have came in and doing his Boston accent.
Very cool.
There's another fact. This is it's based off of a book called Prince of Thieves, which is written by this guy named Chuck Hogan, who in turn wrote the Michael Bay movie 13 Soldiers, The Secrets of Benghazi, which came out 2015, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's broadly regarded as Michael Bay's best film since, Bad Boys 2. Yeah, which is also a great movie. I love Bad Boys 2.
What about Bad Boys?
Bad Boys is okay. Bad Boys 2 is much better.
What?
Yeah, I like Bad Boys 2 better.
Okay, we'll have to disagree or agree to disagree on that.
Yeah, sure.
Originally, Adrian Lyne was supposed to direct the film, but after issues with Warner Brothers, Affleck was asked to helm the director's chair.
Oh, wow. I'm not familiar with Adrian Lyne. I don't know what he or she's done.
Me either. But I don't know. So Departed, Mystic River, and the Friends of Eddie Coyle have all been noted as clear influences on the film. There were several problems with the shootouts in the film, so a lot of the bullet holes throughout the film were added in later.
Oh, you can't really tell.
Yeah, I think that probably was better.
Yeah. And, that's how you do special effects, where, it's subtle, it's not, a big flashy thing, especially with a movie like this, which doesn't really need it,
Because you can, I'm assuming, when you're doing the placements or whatever, you probably can manipulate that a lot better.
Yeah.
In post
and make it more accurate. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think that's it.
Oh,
for the facts. Unless you have any.
Not that I know of.
Off the top of the
dome. After this movie came out, Warner Brothers asked Ben Affleck to be the Kevin Feige of their DC universe because they were kickstarting it. No, I'm sorry. After Argo came out, Argo had won. It had made a bunch of money. It had won them Best Picture, and they came to Ben Affleck and they're like, "Hey, we're starting this DC universe. Do you want to spearhead it?" And Ben Affleck said, "I'll do it if I get to play Batman." And they said, "Well, we kind of have an actor lined up for Batman," and so he said, "Okay, well then I'm out." And then later on, he got cast as Batman.
Who was?
I think at that point they wanted Joe Manganiello, I think, for Batman, who ended up being Deathstroke. So, which is interesting.
Okay.
I think it was either between him or Ryan Gosling, or you know what? I think because The Dark Knight Rises came out that year, and I think that they were trying to find a way to make Joseph Gordon-Levitt the next Batman, and that fell through. And so they went to Joe Manganiello. He said no because of scheduling conflicts. I think True Blood was in like last season, and Ryan Gosling turned it down.
Yeah, Gosling said that he never wants to do a superhero role.
Yeah,
that his superhero role was Drive.
Which, you know, if that's what he calls a superhero role, I'm great for it because Drive is a masterpiece. I think it's a masterpiece movie. It's such a shame that Albert Brooks wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, he was awesome.
That really pisses me off. Like, really, of all the people, Albert Brooks. I can't even remember who won Best Supporting Actor that year. I think it was
2011.
No, yeah, 2011. I think it was Christopher Plummer. I think.
Okay.
For a movie that I didn't see, so.
Well, Drive wasn't nominated for anything, right?
It should have been.
That's crazy.
Best adapted screenplay, best picture, best supporting actor, best cinematography.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography in that movie.
Refn is a fucking genius.
Especially the beginning and that opening, that opening chase, that opening getaway chase, where like it's got the baseball, and narration in the background, and it sort of parallels. That movie's so great, and it's got this 80s synth vibe to it. The beginning kind of reminds you of Blade Runner in this sort of like Neo type of city setting, you know, that he shoots, that Refn shoots. I haven't seen his last two films, Only God Forgives, and
Neon Demon.
Yeah, I haven't seen those two, but I saw Drive and Bronson, and those both were great.
So you haven't seen Valhalla Rising?
No, I haven't seen Valhalla Rising.
That's another beautiful one, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great director.
Definitely. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Me neither. I think he was pissed at Steven Spielberg because Steven Spielberg was on the board of I think it was the Palme d'Or. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's this film. It's this award that people submit their films into consideration, and it's basically sort of like the best picture of like the indie films. So Pulp Fiction won it. Taxi Driver won it, and like to win this award is a big deal because it solidifies that like your film is like one of the best of the year. And I think he submitted Only God Forgives for that, and Steven Spielberg was on the board of deciding what film gets it, and they gave it to Blue Is the Warmest Color, and Nicholas Winding Refn was pissed. He was like super pissed that they gave it to that and not Only God Forgives, which is weird.
Did you see that?
I haven't seen Only God Forgives.
No, the other film.
Blue is Warm. Yeah, I saw it. It's a great movie. It's about these two. Women who fall in love with each other.
Okay.
And it's I think it's over the course of like a month or a year or something like that. And it really tackles the stages of a relationship. And how, like, at the beginning of the relationship, like, you can be so much into a person and you can be so much in love, and then you just find out over the course of the relationship that you just have different ideologies and different feelings towards things, and they slowly part ways. And Leia Seydoux is also in it. She was Inspector in Gambit.
Yeah, you were mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, she plays the woman that the main character falls in love with, and their relationship is the main character's first lesbian relationship. So it's sort of this like sexual awakening for her and stuff like that. And
okay,
yeah,
it sounds a lot like it's like a same-sex relationship, like Blue Valentine.
Yeah,
if it was
sure,
okay,
yeah. It tackles that type of thing, which and I don't think it was nominated for Best Picture either, which is a shame, or Best Foreign Film.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long, so if you have the time, I'd say carve out the time for it.
Okay,
it's really long.
Well, yeah, you should watch Only God Forgives. I'm not sure if you'll dig it because it's kind of abstract a little bit.
Okay,
a little more than the two that you've seen, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see what you have to say later.
Yeah.
I actually have a interview from, it's a Cinemax exclusive from when The Town came out, and I think it's Blake Lively and Ben and Jeremy kind of going back and forth about making the film. If you want to check that out,
sure, let's check it out. Cool.
Here it is, guys.
There are over 300 bank robberies in Boston every year. Most of these professionals live in a 1 square mile neighborhood called Charlestown.
But the car chase is pretty amazing. That was maybe one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. Obviously,
you should have been that.
I was one of the nuns.
You were one of the nuns? Nuns and guns.
I was the main stunt driver.
I want to go with you.
I'm leaving with somebody else.
The girls that I was able to spend time with in Charlestown were some of the extras that Ben had in a lot of the scenes, which actually made me more nervous in a lot of ways because I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do them justice.
That's one of the values of casting people from the area. I don't know about you, but it seemed to me just by like looking at the guy next to you, you kind of got a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could just look left or right, and there's just dudes rolling around like, maybe I should wear my necklace like that, or these wristbands on.
But also sometimes they would like feel free to just start offering criticism. I don't really feel nothing from that. He wouldn't say that. Seems too. He'd be too heartbroken. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that.
You start directing.
You gonna put a 24 on there? I think that's a little wide. Maybe something longer. Soften up the background. No, thank you.
I had to unlearn a lot of stuff. Yeah, I've had fortune and getting to play with a lot of guns, but usually in very military ways. Ben had to direct me one time, saying, you have to look a little less good with a gun.
Because I think it's like, who puts their hand like this? I'm like, what is this? Is it kung fu or is it the gun?
So I had to get like a little loosey-goosey with the gun. But yeah, that was a blast. If we get jammed up, we'll hold them court on the street. Go!
I just want you to know that you are going to die in federal prison.
The first scene we did, which was like this barbecue scene, which was very loose and not scripted and stuff. It felt real to me. And they felt brother and sister. I felt like I belonged there. The other small actors felt like they belong. And I wanted to have that barbecue scene be sort of the way that everyone could just kind of settle in and feel like, okay, I've been on camera. I don't have to do anything. It actually worked better than I thought.
That's a terrifying day, too. I wasn't comfortable with the accent yet.
You acquitted yourself well. Except for when you started chasing slams with the sausage.
I can't believe you didn't put that in there.
Then the whole point was like, look at this crew, they're tough. And they went from him like humping slam with the sausage. Look a little bit like the frat house.
That's right. It's really right her back.
You see how that you may putting the sausage up his friend's ass? No, maybe that has nothing to do with it.
All right, there it was.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to hear them talk about the movie, and Jeremy Renner has a thing for sausages. Didn't know that. Now I know. Yeah, I hope they bring up that as a character quirk in the Avengers movie with him and Hawkeye. Yeah. But I think Jeremy Renner is a method actor too, so he really gets into character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know he got into character with the Hurt Locker, and hearing him talk here, he really sounds like he actually did his due diligence in the role. And same with Blake Lively. It must be very challenging to act in a scene and have people who you're basing your character quirks off of, standing around you watching you do it. I mean, the pressure is on at that point.
Yeah.
You are representing a town, and you don't want to make it come off too cartoonish and too stereotypical, but you also want to make it feel authentic. And there are some people in that town that are cartoonish and stereotypical, and you have to ride that happy medium. So yeah,
that kind of gray area.
Yeah, that kind of gray area to make it believable, yet relatable and exaggerate at the same time. Yeah, I dig it a lot. Yeah,
nice, man.
There's a lot that this movie does right. So I'm glad I got to talk about it with y'all.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm free whenever you guys need a